Look into the mirror of the night sky, and you will find that the universe is not merely silent, it is waiting. 80 light-years from our fragile, breathing Earth, the James Webb Space Telescope pointed its golden eye toward a graveyard. There, in the constellation Draco, lies WD 1856 plus 534, the cold, shriveled corpse of a star that died billions of years ago. By all the laws of cosmic violence, this white dwarf should be surrounded by nothing but quiet, frozen ash. The red giant phase should have incinerated everything in its path, swallowing nearby worlds in a hellish, swelling tide of plasma. Yet, something survived. Orbiting this dead stellar remnant is a gargantuan planet, 7 times larger than the star it circles. But its mere survival is not what has paralyzed astronomers with a sudden, icy dread. It is the light. As the planet transits the face of its dead host, the space telescope did not detect the random, chaotic noise of stellar decay. Instead, it captured a highly structured, anomalous infrared emission, a rhythmic, pulsing light pattern bleeding from the darkness of a supposedly extinct solar system. This is where science ends and our deepest, primal terror begins. Humans have always feared the dark, but we fear what might be hiding in that dark even more. We look at this dead star system and we do not see a distant anomaly, we see a mirror of our own inevitable grave. 5 billion years from now, our sun will swell, boil our oceans, and collapse into a smoldering white dwarf just like this one. To see structure, warmth, and deliberate, repeating patterns of light emanating from a graveyard is to confront the ultimate existential nightmare. Is this the final, desperate sigh of a doomed planet's dying atmosphere, or is it a monument? A techno-signature of an ancient, hyper-advanced civilization that refused to perish with their sun, harvesting the final, decaying embers of a dead star? The thought of being utterly alone in this cold, infinite void is terrifying. But the alternative is far worse. If those lights are deliberate, if someone is down there, thriving in the eternal shadow of a dead sun, then we must ask ourselves, what kind of life is born from the ashes of a star, and what happens when they finally look back at us? The cosmos is supposed to be a graveyard of quiet decay. When a star like our sun dies, it swells into a red giant, swallowing its inner worlds in fire, before collapsing into a white dwarf, a dense, cooling ember of carbon and oxygen, surrounded by nothing but the cold ash of its former empire. For billions of years, these dead stars are meant to do nothing but fade into the eternal dark. But out in the deep silent void, the gold-plated mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope pointed toward one such stellar corpse, expecting to record only the faint, predictable hum of thermal debris. Instead, it caught a scream in the dark. It began as a microscopic spike in the infrared spectrum. Not the chaotic, messy flicker of a shattering asteroid, nor the smooth, dying curve of a cooling stellar remnant. This was something else. A highly structured, mathematical, and repeating sequence of infrared light. Pulses of heat, perfectly metered, slicing through the vacuum with terrifying precision. In the control rooms on Earth, the initial reaction was denial. Astrophysics dictates that a white dwarf is a closed system of decay. It has no fusion engine left to sputter, its planets were reduced to dust eons ago. Yet, the data scrolling across the screens refused to conform to the laws of nature. The signal does not drift. It does not decay. It pulses with a chilling, deliberate rhythm, a complex geometry of light that defies every known law of thermodynamics and planetary debris behavior. To witness this signal is to confront a horrifying existential paradox. We are looking at a system where life should be utterly impossible, where the very gravity of the collapsed star crushes matter into degenerate states. And yet, something is manipulating the infrared spectrum. Something is generating a colossal, structured output of energy from the heart of a tomb. Is it a colossal, artificial megastructure, built from the scavenged bones of dead worlds, still functioning long after its creators perished? Or is it a beacon, deliberately ignited in the ruins, waiting for someone to look? As the Webb telescope stares deeper into the dead system, the silence of the universe suddenly feels less like an empty void, and more like a breath being held. We thought we were looking at a grave. We are starting to realize we might be looking at a monument. And whatever is speaking from the ashes of that dead star, it has been waiting for us to listen. We are a species obsessed with leaving a mark. We build monuments of stone, broadcast our voices into the void, and pray that some distant tomorrow will remember we were here. But what happens when the universe answers not with a monument, but with a mirror? The strange, rhythmic pulse flickering from the ashes of this dead star system does not feel like a beacon of hope. It feels like a haunting. It forces us to confront a chilling, primal truth: the universe is not waiting for us to populate it. It is already a graveyard, and the graves are still restless. This is the terror of cosmic necromancy. We have long comforted ourselves with the thought that when a civilization perishes, its silence is absolute. We assumed that death brings a quiet, respectful emptiness. But the James Webb Telescope has shattered that illusion. It has revealed that dead systems may not be empty at all. Instead, they are haunted by the automated, cold, and indifferent ghosts of eons past. Imagine it. A species facing its own inevitable extinction as their sun swelled into a red giant, left behind automated systems to run forever in the dark. Machines with no souls, programmed to carry out forgotten directives, mindlessly repeating the same tasks around a smoldering white dwarf for billions of years. It is a terrifying form of existential obsolescence. We are looking at our own ultimate future, a cosmic stage where the actors have died, but the stage lights refuse to go out. Or perhaps the truth is infinitely worse. What if this light pattern is not the lingering echo of a dead civilization? What if it is the heartbeat of something that arrived after the fire went out? There is a sickening horror in the realization that the cold, dark remnants of dead stars might not be barren wastes, but feeding grounds. We must ask ourselves, what kind of entity thrives in the ashes of a collapsed solar system? What colossal, unfathomable presence feeds on the corpses of dead stars, basking in the faint, radioactive decay of a world's end? As this distant, synthetic light blinks across the light years, it feels less like a signal and more like a warning. It is the cold whisper of a universe that does not care about our triumphs or our tears. It tells us that long after humanity has burned out and been forgotten, something will still be out here in the dark. Moving. Waiting. And consuming. The dark is not empty. We have comforted ourselves with the lie that the graveyard of the cosmos is silent, that once a star collapses into a frozen white dwarf, the story ends. But 80 light-years away, in the absolute, crushing vacuum of space, the dead have begun to speak. The James Webb Space Telescope, peering into the cold tomb of WD 1856, did not find the quiet decay we expected. Instead, its infrared mirrors captured a pulse. A cold, deliberate flicker of light bleeding through the dark, cutting through the methane clouds of a giant planet that should have been incinerated billions of years ago. It is a rhythmic, repeating pattern. It does not flicker with the chaotic violence of a dying star or the predictable spin of a pulsar. It behaves like a beacon. It behaves like a breath. Think of the sheer, terrifying scale of this revelation. The host star is dead, a shrunken, smoldering husk no larger than Earth. Yet, something in this graveyard is generating enough heat to keep a massive planet warm, casting a ghostly, artificial glow into the void. To stare into this light is to feel a cold dread settle in your chest. Are we looking at a natural anomaly we are too primitive to comprehend? Or are we witnessing a monument built by an ancient intelligence that survived the end of its world, a civilization that watched its sun die, migrated into the freezing dark, and left the lights on? If this is a techno-signature, it is a message from the deep past, a ghost signal traveling through the dark to warn us of our own inevitable future. In 6 billion years, our sun will swallow the Earth, and collapse into the exact same silence. Will some future alien eye catch a faint, rhythmic pulse flickering from the ashes of our solar system? The universe does not care about our comfort. It offers no answers, only a cold, steady pulse in the dark, mocking our insignificance. We are listening to a dead world hum. And the most terrifying realization is not that we might be alone in this vast, freezing expanse, but that we are absolutely, undeniably not. Look into the absolute dark. 80 light-years from where you sit breathing, there is a corpse. A white dwarf, the shriveled, smoldering skull of a sun that died billions of years ago. By all the laws of cosmic decay, this place should be a silent, frozen tomb. But when the gold-plated mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope pierced the veil of the invisible, they caught the impossible. A phantom pulse. A rhythmic, undulating tremor of mid-infrared light bleeding out of the black. It is not the random flicker of a dying star's last gasp. It is structured. It is precise. A cold, deliberate heartbeat pulsing through the vacuum of space. Our instruments trace this phantom glow to a giant world, 7 times larger than the stellar remnant it orbits. A planet that should not exist. It circles its dead master in a tight, suffocating embrace, completing a year in mere hours. We expected a frozen wasteland, locked in absolute zero. Instead, the infrared cameras revealed a fever. The planet is burning from the inside out, radiating a suffocating, unnatural heat. Is it the violent friction of gravity, a world being slowly torn apart and kneaded like clay by the invisible hands of tidal forces? Or are we witnessing a terrifying cosmic resurrection? In the silence of our control rooms, a colder realization begins to dawn. Some scientists whisper of technosignatures of massive, artificial structures engineered to harvest the final, precious embers of a dying star. If so, we are not looking at a natural phenomenon. We are staring at a desperate monument to survival, built by something that refused to die when its sky went black. This is the ghost in the infrared. It is a mirror reflecting our own inevitable end. One day, our sun will swell, boil our oceans, swallow the earth, and collapse into a silent, frozen ember. And as the dark closes in, will we too leave behind a desperate, flickering signal in the dark, crying out to an empty universe that we were once here? Or is the entity waiting out there in the cold, watching our light fade, waiting to inherit the ashes?